Golair, and welcome to the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, slicing into the GAA of the past, present and future. Join me, Jason Keelan, as we cut into the largest loaf of bread known to mankind. On Slice 15 this week, I chat with Rhode and Offaly football captain and member of the Irish Defence Forces, the gentleman that is, Anton Sullivan. We chat everything from working in Lebanon with the Defence Forces, owning ace performance and recovery with a few mates, giving lifts to the legendary supporter Mick McDonagh, the loss of road jockey Pat Smullen, the hailstones in Drogheda, winning a county semi-final on penalties, trials with Leinster rugby and much more. He really is a star. But first, let's take a quick trip, as always, through Anton's home of Rhode and through County Offaly. Bon Sultas. A fairly short trip this week across the old Kingdom of Meath to the King's County of old, today known as County Offaly, home of the faithful. The county is very much central in Ireland and in Irish history, providing the country with the largest find of Bronze Age artefacts just outside of Birr. In 1556, the English plantation period took place in the county and neighbouring Laois, which was to be called Leixley. Philipstown would be the county town of Offaly, Maryborough of Laois, after the monarchs of Philip and Mary I. Today they are Dangan and Portlaoise. The ruling O'Moore and O'Connor clans in the area didn't take too kindly to the ousting they received from their home and spent the next near half century fighting back from the hills. Getting fed up with their pestering, the English called the O'Moores for peace talks at Mullaghmast in Laois, only to slaughter most of them. Many English were reluctant to come to the area as a result of the violence. Over time, the English ruling faded out to an extent. Incredibly, the official naming of Offaly was never actually changed from the King's County. A ruling in 2001 said the name of Offaly was okay to have, but legally it is still referred to as, on many documents, by its olden name. Modern times in Offaly have seen them known for industries such as Board na Mona, which began in 1946. Offaly's wonderful boglands such as the Bog of Allen and Bora Bog provided peat to be transferred to the local power stations in the Midlands for energy. However, change in times and declining bogland availability meant the function of these industries is slowly dying out. The closure of power stations around Edenderry and Anton's hometown of Rhode in the past 2 decades have shown this. In terms of the GAA, Offaly has gone through various phases in its history. 4 Liam McCarthy's and 3 Sam Maguires show the possibilities the county has offered, and were once a certain force to be reckoned with. Of course, many GAA people will be all too familiar with the 1982 All-Ireland Final's dying moments when the Kingdom of Kerry looked certain for the elusive 5 in a row. That was until a long ball caught Kerry fullback Tommy Doyle out. The rest, as they say, is history.
Here they come. This is Liam Connor, the fullback. A high lobbing, dropping ball in towards the corner. A shot. A goal. A goal for Offaly. There was a goal.
Seamus Darby wrote his name and Offaly's into GAA folklore, a tale which will be told for many decades to come. Offaly itself has produced some incredible talent and some iconic club names: Birr, Kilcormac Killahy, Coolderry, Edenderry and Rhode, but to name just a few. Names like Dooley, Wheelahan, McManus, Hannafy, Duignan and Carroll are synonymous with the green and gold of the faithful. Although the glory days may be tougher to find today than they were, there's no doubting the county's determination to find that winning formula in all codes once again. Offaly has also produced other sporting success stories, not least the current golfing talent of Esker Hills Golf Club star Shane Lowry. Shane in recent times has also signed himself up to become the sponsor of the underage setup in Offaly, a tremendous feat and something which will no doubt stand to the county. When Shane took the world by surprise winning the Irish Open in Baltray, County Louth as an amateur in soaking conditions, few could imagine the path his golf would take. But for those who knew his talent at the time, it wasn't that much of a shock. It was for some of the bookmakers locally though. I was at the 2008 Scratch Cup in Mullingar when Shane shot 14 under to claim the title, an event which has been won by the likes of Rory McIlroy, Padraig Harrington, Paul McGinley, Darren Clark, Philip Walton and many others. The 2015 WGC in America, the Portugal Open and the Abu Dhabi Championship would be special, but couldn't compare to the Offaly man's first ever major win in 2019 in the British Open in Portrush. Safe to say that if they didn't know beforehand, most of the world now knows where County Offaly is. Outside the sporting field, the likes of journalist Barry Glendenning, musician Mundy, former Taoiseach Brian Cowan and comedian Neil Delamere are well-known members of the Faithful Brigade. My own mother-in-law, an Eden Derry native herself, claims to have been Neil Delamere's babysitter when he was a baby. We'll leave that one to Neil to confirm or deny. Anton's hometown of Rhode in County Offaly is very much a football stronghold of modern times in Leinster. The area is not far from the borders of Westmeath, Meath and Kildare, given its place in the northeast of Offaly. The village is also located near the Grand Canal and down the road from the famous Crohan Hill. This 230 or so metre hill has a burial ground on the summit, which is also said to be an entrance to the other world in mythology. Rhode have won the men's Offaly senior title a record 30 times, including 11 since 2014, making them the strongest footballing side in the county. In fact, since 2003, Rhode have not contested the final on only 2 occasions. The club formed in the year 1888, like many, under the name Rhode and Crohan, and have been central to the success at county level also. As example, there were more Rhode players on the famous Offaly teams in 71 and 72 than any other club. The first game the club played was in 1889 against Portarlington. Their first King's County title came in 1900 with a 7-2 victory over local rivals Killen, better today known as Dangan. More than a century later, they've cemented their place as top dogs in their county, but still push for that Leinster title that has seen them lose 5 finals in the past 15 years to Kilmacud and Vincent's twice and Moorfield of Kildare once. Given that Ferban were the last Offaly team to win Leinster in 86, and only Walsh Island and Gracefield have won more before that, Rhode would certainly like to lift the Sean McCabe sooner rather than later. Anton has been a part of the Rhode setup for some time now, as well as been a prominent member of Óglaigh na hÉireann, the Irish Defence Forces. Anton made his county debut aged just 17 in a win over Fermanagh in the league. In 2016, he spent time in Lebanon while keeping training going alongside fellow member Roscommon footballer Ian Kilbride. But it all paid off. Captain of both club and county is no mean feat, and Anton has shown his determination can reap reward. So let's meet the man himself, Rhode, Irish Defence Forces and Offaly GAA star and captain, Anton Sullivan. Anton, how's the form?
How are you doing? Jason?
Not too bad, Anton. How are you?
No, better. Thanks a million for having me on.
Not at all. How's all down Rhode?
Sure, glad we're still alive in this.
That's the main thing, I suppose. Yeah.
That's the main thing. Yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
No, thanks to God.
That's good. Yeah. No, thanks very much for coming on. I won't take up too much of your evening. You probably want to watch Champions League and stuff as well. So.
No, you're fine. I was actually looking forward to coming on. Just taking a break from all the training and stuff and chilling out and having a chat.
It's good.
It's nice to do that now and again, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
It's a great way of getting to know people and even learning different styles from different people and stuff like that. It's something I'd be very interested in doing when I finish football. Anyways, is chatting people and you know, if you're going into management, which I intend to do maybe when I finish, it's just you always pick up stuff, bits and pieces of different people, which is good, you know. Yeah, no,
it's I just love the chats and stuff as well. You know, it's like I'm used to being in the classroom, and for the last 3 months, like I've been talking to the screen, and even though it's nice to see the faces the other side of it, it's still not the same. Like I can't wait to go back next week now. So
of course,
it's been different. Yeah, the brother actually had Pascal has been coaching my brother's club. He's been one of the coaches of Rocher Bridge last season. So
yeah.
He was a ref for our uncle as well, Seamus McCormack there in Streamstown.
I know. I heard of Seamus. Yeah, I heard of him.
Seamus, a referee and furniture man. Yeah, Pascal was a ref for him for a while as well. So,
brilliant!
I've come across him a good few times. All right. So,
yeah. I think he's not bad out of skin, is he?
He's not the worst. Yeah, I think I took him on in a long drive challenge out in the field in my granny's house one day as well. Somehow. So,
that's it.
Yeah. First thing I've asked everybody who's come on is who their main influences in the GAA were growing up.
I suppose for me growing up, I had a lot of people around me in Rhode, especially who were great influences, who've won championships with Rhode, won All Irelands with Offaly in the 70s and 80s. You know, Stephen Darby, Martin Heavey, my uncle Johnny. But I say out of all of them, my mother was the driving rock behind everything. She was brilliant, you know. We didn't have a whole lot growing up, but she made sure I had the best football boots, and I had football socks, and I'd gloves and nicks and stuff like that. But She was brilliant. She was absolutely brilliant. You know, my dad died when I was 9, so it was kind of tough on us. So she was really great. She made sure she got us to the field. You know, when I had a good game, she'd tell me I had a good game and a bad game. I'd know about it too. You know,
A good mother.
yeah, brilliant. You know, but she was great. You know, she's the reason where I am today, representing my county. You know, I've had a successful club career. And without her, it wouldn't have materialised, to be honest. I've had great people in the background, as I said, the likes of Martin Heavey, Stephen Darby, my uncle Johnny, all brilliant people, and more in the club who were exceptional when I was growing up. But the one person who drove it on for me was definitely my mother. She was brilliant.
A fair play to her, yeah. And you're saying as well, representing your county as well. You represent your country with the Defence Force as well, because I'm in the middle of writing 2 history books for primary schools, and it's, I think, possibly the first chapter ever in a history book to be done on the Defence Forces, because I just thought it's been ignored for so long. I thought it was about time somebody put it in. So how did yourself and the brother Pádraig get into that?
Well, I was actually studying down at Loaf College back in 2011. I started my first year in 2010, 2011, and then I went into the second year. I was studying business, and I was playing. We're after in 2010. We had Kilmacud Crokes in Leinster Club final with Rhode, but it got delayed into the new year because of the weather, the bad weather, the snow had come. So we lost the final in early January, and then we were actually started back club league in the start of February, but we had a few weeks off and we kind of just had to fulfill the fixture, you know. But I was training with Offaly at the time. I was just after resuming training with Offaly at the time, but I went over to watch Rhode actually playing, and there's only 13 guys, and I said, feck it, sure, I'll tug out and I'll give them a dig out till half time at least, because we were playing for Man in the first round of the league Sunday, and I wasn't supposed to be even near the game, never mind tugging out. So I ended up getting a really bad shoulder injury. I dislocated my shoulder, and a long story short, I ended up dropping out of college anyways, and I was at home and I was doing nothing. I was waiting on my surgery, and I eventually got my surgery up in Santry, and I was kind of living at home. I couldn't get the dole because it was kind of still in college, and I was depending on my mother for a few pounds. And my brother was in the army at the time, and I remember having a chat with him, and he said, would you not join the army and get through the initial training, and maybe when you finish and pass out and you're a 3-star soldier, then you can go sick and get your rehab done and get everything else, and then reassess where you want to go then. But at least while all this is going on, you'll have a few pounds coming in every week, you know. So I said, geez, that's not a bad idea. So I went, lo and behold, I did that. I applied, I got it, went through the training. My first surgery wasn't successful, so I had to get another one. So I did my training, got through that, and then the minute I passed out, I went sick, as my brother told me to do, and I got 5 months off, got my second surgery, and then I never looked back. And I still today, I'm still there. I never left. My plan was to go back to college and finish out my degree, but it never materialised. So I'm still there. I ended up doing 5 years down at Loan, then in the barracks down in Cushing Barracks at Loan. I had a great time down there, met some great people, and in the last 4 years I've moved up to Newbridge to a different role. So yeah, no, really enjoying it. I really like what I do. It's a great environment to be in when you're playing intercounty football. I'm lucky enough I get to train during my working hours. If it's a tough league game on a Sunday, I have the swimming pool on my doorstep, and the next morning I can go in and use the pool and get on the spinning bike and recover. While I see some lads are kind of coming in from maybe a long job or a long day in the job, or 5 or 6, and to go and do a recovery session. I have the evening off then, you know. So there is great perks to it. I certainly enjoy it. There's some great GAA people within the Defence Forces. I've gotten to know along the way. So never look back, I suppose. But I don't know if I ever go back at Low to finish my degree. But sure, listen, I'll see where it takes me.
Sure, if someone's listening from at Low, maybe they might, put in a good word for you.
yeah, of course, yeah.
And what of the missions you went on then? What was the experience like?
It was an unbelievable experience. I went in 2016, in November 2016. Obviously, it was a tough time to go because we were after beating Simonstown Gales in the Leinster Club quarter final, and then I had to go overseas then the following Wednesday night. I had to leave then, and I was on a 5-year contract at the time, and part of that contract for me to sign on for my next period of time, I had to fulfill a mission. So I had no way around it. To be honest, I had to go, unfortunately. So I went. I only had I had a little boy at the time. He was only maybe 7 or 8 weeks old. So obviously that was a huge thing as well. Financially, it was going to be a big help for me to go overseas and get a few pounds in my back pocket. To kind of set up when I come home down from there. But unfortunately, it came at the expense of missing the Leinster club campaign by Rhode, and we ended up losing the final to St. Vincent's. But listen, I don't regret. It was a great experience. As I said, it set me up financially. I know football is great, and I really enjoy playing it, but it became a hobby to me at that stage because, as I said, I had a young son. He became my priority. And I had to look after him first and foremost. But listen, that's the joys of sport. You know, I just happened to miss out, and it was just unfortunate. You know.
Yeah. Was it out to Lebanon you went, or?
I went to Lebanon. Yeah, 6 months out. 6 months out in the Lebanon. Yeah. I did 12 weeks, and then I come home for 4 weeks. I come home for the month of February, and then I was back out in the start of March, and I was home then in early May. So it wasn't too bad. All in all, it went relatively quick. I was out with some good guys as well. A lot of football lads went out as well. So it was grand to have them, and we did a lot of training out there and stuff. So it was good. It was a great experience. Seeing something different that I wouldn't have normally have seen, and definitely enjoyed the experience.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, and on the totally opposite end of the professions, is modelling then part of the future career with Guy Clothing, or?
Well, listen, I know Anthony very well. He runs a great show there in Tullamore, so I like to give him a dig out now and again. It's definitely something though I wouldn't intend doing in the future. No, I'll stick to the football and stick to the army. Okay,
fair enough. And then yourself and Owen and Cian have been running Ace Performance and Recovery for 2.5, nearly heading to 3 years now. How has that been going for you, especially with lockdown?
Yeah, we're 3 years now in September. It's been tough. Definitely a challenge. Definitely a challenge, but no more than any other business, we're in the same boat as them, and you know, we have plans in place and we have money aside, so we're managing okay. We had a loan out. We took a loan out obviously to start the business up, and we're nearly at the end of our loan, so we're actually not in a bad position financially, so we're okay. I know other businesses maybe are starting out or in the middle of certain things and are struggling, but financially we're actually okay. We're in a good place, but hopefully maybe the summer months ahead we might get back open and get people back through the doors again. But yeah, it's a brilliant business, and the boys are great to work with. And you know what started out one day as a chat in Tullamore we ended up starting our business 9 months later. So it's been one hell of a journey with them. But yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. It's always the way, isn't it? It always starts out with just a chat over nothing, over a pint or something, and then it suddenly turns into something. So yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah,
you know, and even the business start now, we just had local GAA teams coming in, local clubs, but you know, we'd have we had the Westmeath Camogie team through all their journey last year when they won All Ireland. They used to be in every Monday night. We'd have teams in Tipperary, Galway, Kildare, Laois. You know, loads of teams from everywhere are coming. So we're lucky in Tullamore, we're central to kind of a lot of counties, and we can draw in a lot of teams, which is great, you know. But it's a great experience, and you know, it's a journey we're enjoying, and I don't know where it's going to take us or how long it's going to go, but we'll keep going for now anyways, and we're certainly enjoying it.
Oh, deadly, yeah. No, the mother used to work in the laundrette down there in the square, I think, around Tullamore. So yeah, I know the town fairly well. When you say the Westmeath Camogie girls, I have to ask, because they were on. I had Pamela, Greville, Mairead, Caoimhe McCrossan, Sheila McGrath. What were they like having them in? Because on the podcast, the episode is coming out. Well, it's tomorrow, I suppose, it's coming out. I don't know how to describe them. There was probably about 10 minutes of camogie talk, and the rest was talking about how they were cracking concrete flower pots off each other's heads in nightclubs. Was it like that when they went into E? Or?
Yeah, there was a bit of crack, yeah. Like, we'd be kind of in an environment that when you come in the door, you break away from your camogie or your hurling or your football, and you just come in to chill out, you know. We have the TVs there, you can watch a bit of telly, or there's, as you said, Champions League's on tonight if people wanted to come in and just chill out. that's the tone we set, that you just come in and you get the recovery done, but it's all a relaxed environment. But the guys are great. Really, really nice bunch. I'm not surprised by the one, because they were very dedicated in what they did. They were always on time. They got the recovery in. They took everything very serious, but had a bit of fun along the way as well, which is all part of it, But I'm not surprised what they achieved last year, because they certainly were a great bunch.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And for yourself, then you've played under. I have my list here. You've played under the likes of Mick McDonagh, Stephen Wallace, John Mon, Pat Flanagan, Pascal, of course. Did you ever play under Dermot in the Defence Forces, Dermot Early?
I did. Dermot actually currently manages us on the All-Army Defence Force team at the minute.
Yeah.
Obviously, we haven't played now in a while due to COVID. There's been nothing going on the past 12 months, but we'd normally play the banks, AIB Bank of Ireland. We played them last year in a series up in Croke Park. The Guards as well. Always great games, really good games. Yeah. You'd have the best players from all over the country playing on the teams, So and especially getting to play in Croke Park it's an autumn series. We play the two banks and the Guards, and it's brilliant. You're getting to play with some of the best players around the country and against the best players as well. I remember we played the AIB Bank last year, and Colin O'Neill was actually in the goals for the bank. Yes, really good keeper. James O'Donoghue was playing, James McCarthy. Top quality players, So it's great to experience these, and it's a bit of fun. We'd always have a bit of a dinner after and a drink, and we make an evening of it, which is always great to do,
Yeah. No, I think just walking through town here one day in Mullingar, I think the Gooch used to work with AIB or one day, because he wandered out of one of the banks here one day randomly for some photo shoot. So of the managers you played with under, which of them has left the biggest impression on you, would you say?
I have to say, well, see, it's a tough one, because you didn't mention Jack Cooney there, and I had Jack Cooney for 4 years. He's currently the Westmeath manager, as you know, but
he hasn't responded to me messages yet, so that's why I didn't mention him.
Jack was absolutely incredible the 4 years I was with him. He was just, his attention to detail was just top class. His drills, his variety, everything you'd want in the coach, he had it. He was just very special, and we were very disappointed to see him leave. We would have liked to have stayed on, but of course, in your county calls, it's hard to say no, and we didn't. We weren't sad. Well, we were sad to see him go, but we were happy for him as well.
Yeah.
It was the next step for him to go, and we wished him well. But he certainly is up there with one of the best I've had. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And do you remember then at county level? I suppose. Do you remember your debut, age 17, against Fermanagh?
I remember actually. I was Tom Cribben. I played rugby for 10 years in Edenderry, and I was after playing. We were in the cup quarter final with Edenderry, and I remember we were playing Naas, and we had a really good out half in our team. He was in Barron Hall College at the team. Robert Holes was his name, and Leinster were kind of tracking him the past few weeks in the cup competition, and Garvin Dempsey actually came down to he was a scout for the 19s at the time for Leinster, and he came down, and we played Naas anyways, but I ended up actually having a really good game, and I scored the winning try. But Garvin actually came back the following Tuesday night. We got word that he didn't want Robert, he actually wanted me to go up for the trial. So lo and behold, anyways, I went up for 2 trials up to Donnybrook, and talk about being out of my comfort zone completely. I going up to Donnybrook, and I in a pair of GAA shorts and GAA socks, and the best rugby lads all around Leinster playing, but it started out anyways at 70 lads, and I actually got down to the last 35, and I don't know if Tom Cribben got wind of this or what happened, but I was going for my last trial the Sunday, and the panel was being cut after that trial down to 35 was being cut down to 26, and that was the panel. And I was in with a good chance of getting it. I was after coming from 70 down to 35, and I was kind of confident enough. I was fancying my chances of getting in. But anyway, make a long story short, the final trial was the Sunday, but Tom I don't know how he got wind of it anyways, but he rang me the Wednesday night before the trial, and he said, listen, I want you to come into train tomorrow night. I'd like you to come on board with us. And I was like, gee, this is a kind of a bad time, Tom, I don't know. I kind of explained the situation to him, and he said, listen, I leave it up to yourself, and the door's open for you to come in, and we really love to have you, you know. And I was kind of thinking then, geez, you know, growing up, all I wanted to do was represent Offaly, and it was a dream of mine to, you know, there was like this Ciara McManus was still playing, and Carl Slattery and stuff, and you know, I was looking at these playing Leinster finals back in '97, and having good battles with Meath and Kildare and Dublin down through the years, and it's always something I wanted to do. So I remember chatting to my mother about it, and she said, "Listen, make up your own mind. You're old enough now. You know what to do." And I ended up turning down the trial with Leinster and going in with Offaly that Thursday night. Now, bearing in mind, I kind of wasn't expecting that on the Sunday, but I was actually brought on with 20 minutes to go against Man. I made my debut, but I do regret, looking back now, I do regret not going to the trial, to be honest, because I would have got my chance with Offaly anyways down the line at some stage. Yeah. And yeah, it's definitely a regret I have, because I would have been kept in contact with the strength and conditioning coach down through the years, and he always says it to me when I'm talking to him that, Jesus, the one regret is not keeping you there. You would have definitely met it. So it's a pity, but listen, it is what it is. I've enjoyed a great 10 or 11 years with Offaly since. So listen, that's the way it goes, I suppose.
And what was your position on the rugby pitch? Surely a winger somewhere.
Full back. I was full back.
Okay. Suits you.
Full back, yeah. No, I used to play when the off season came with the GAA. I kind of just went into Lowry and played the rugby, and it used to keep me fit and that over the winter. And I really enjoyed it. It was just something different. And I just got good at it over time. I suppose I was fast, and I was good under the high ball, and I was a good kicker. So, and all else I had to do was run, you know. So there was not really more to do on a run, you know. But no, I certainly enjoyed it. But I do. It's one regret I do have looking back is not fulfilling the trial and seeing where it took me, you know.
Yes, I won't say too much because my mother-in-law is a Cribben from Edenderry, so I better not say too much. So she's related to Tom Cribben, I think. So we'll blame him for your rugby career.
We'll blame him.
Yeah, we'll blame him. With the county then, 2020 was ended, I suppose, slightly prematurely against Kildare, but it was certainly a lot of positives coming out of that game. Now, you had a good tussle against Carlow as well. There's a great sports file picture I'm looking at here where yourself and Josh Moore from Carlow are baiting the heads off each other, and the final whistle's already gone. So there's plenty of passion still in Offaly. As the future is a bit brighter than maybe it was a few years ago.
Definitely, yeah. I suppose over the last 10 years, it's been very difficult. You know, we've had a lot of managers coming and going. Like, you know, probably lads taking the job and they're not very probably suited, probably coming at the wrong time. Maybe being let down a bit by county board as well, and then I suppose players not putting in the effort or putting up their hands and take responsibility. A bit of everything, you know. I wouldn't point the blame certainly on one thing, but you know, a mixture of all those combinations of things just didn't work out, which is disappointing, you know, because I was only chatting to a couple of lads the other day about it. You know, your football career goes so quick, and you know, the time has gone by so fast, and you know, all the effort I put in, and no more than any other player puts in, like we've not really to show over the last 10 years, which is disappointing, you know. 1 or 2 Leinster campaign wins, couple of qualifier wins, Division 4 league title. That's really it, you know. And you think of the amount of training that's involved in that 10 years for all that, you know, it is disappointing. But since John Martin has come in, it's been brilliant. County board has been excellent. The players' buy-in have been absolutely incredible. It's been brilliant. And John has been a breath of fresh air, top class. A great management team around him, and as you probably know, John is a great character. He's brilliant. He's brilliant around his dressing room. He's a player's man. We want for absolutely nothing. We have the best of everything. And it's just about time that we put in a bit of hard work now and start putting results on the board, and players taking a bit of ownership, which we are. In fairness, we are. The last 2 years, he's kind of weeded out lads who don't want to be there, and all the lads who are there are working hard. And I think we're not far away. You know, we should have beaten Kildare last November. We missed 3 or 4 goal chances. We let them off the hook. Go back 12 months again, we let Meath off the hook completely in Navan. We were five fines up with 6 minutes to go. You know, so we're actually not too far away. I think if we can just get that one big win over a team, maybe in Division 2, Division 1, like we've had Meath that summer, they were they were after getting promoted to Division 1, like, and we should have beaten them, you know. Then we've had Lynch in the qualifiers in Port Leash, you know, we could have beaten them as well, you know. It's just a small little margins, and just small little tweaks. I think we'll get there. You know, we've a great blend of youth and experience in our team now, and we've some good youth, good young lads coming on as well, which is really important. And adding to the freshness of the squad as well. They're bringing in something different, and just bringing that freshness as well, and keeping the older lads on their toes, which is always important. You know, that lads aren't in a comfort zone and just, you know, resting on their laurels or whatever. But yeah, I just think we're one big win away from just kicking off, you know. Yeah. And in fairness to the Offaly supporters, they're just waiting for that one big win to get behind us, and they're just waiting for that team to just, you know, come and get that win and follow us, you know. Yeah. But I think the big thing for us now is just focus on Division 3, not looking beyond. Other than that, I think we've tipped Limerick and Wicklow in our regional group. So listen, they're the 3 most important games for us this year. Well, as far as I'm concerned, anyways. I wouldn't look beyond championship or look to the championship at all yet. I think we have to be getting to a level where we're playing Division 2 football and progressing and playing better teams and improving our squad, you know, because that's the only way you're going to get better is playing better teams, you know.
Yeah, I was going to ask as well, two days, I'll ask you, the makeup of the county team, there's a huge, like, road backbone to it, you know, McNamee's, Rigney, Derby, all that kind of thing. What's the atmosphere like, you know, when you've in the county, like, there's such a huge rivalry between teams. Is the atmosphere still, you know, you leave your club at the dressing room door and you come in as your county, or is there still a bit of, you know?
Yeah, no, certainly. Since John has come in, there's none of that. There's none of that bullshit, to be honest. It's all, you know, you come in, you're focused, you have a job to do, you're representing your county, you're getting a jersey and you're wearing a pride, and you're doing everything you can for the cause, you know. In fairness, since John has come in, there is a variety of clubs now that actually are on. But you know, there's a lot of clubs, a lot of lads represented from junior, intermediate, senior B, senior A. Whereas one year it could have been maybe just 4 or 5 clubs represented on the county team, you know. Which is now there's a great variety, which is brilliant, you know. It's great to see, and especially for, say, younger kids growing up in all the different clubs, they're seeing a player or two represented from the club. It gives them hope that one day they might be able to emulate those guys and represent Offaly, you know. Yeah,
competition for places, of course, as well, is a thing that makes everyone great, isn't it? So
absolutely, yeah. And like, even we see now over the period of lockdown, you know, lads are on individual programs, but you can only control what you're able to do now at the minute, you know, and you need to come back in the best possible shape as you can. I know it's tough. It's not easy. Certainly, training on your own, it can be tough. You know, you go and train at dark. It could be wet. It could be windy, and there could be a Premier League game to tell you, and the fire could be lit, and you'd much rather stay at home. But there are the nights that you look back on. Then when you're out and you're enjoying the sunshine and you're picking football, they're the nights that make it all worthwhile, you know.
Yeah, and I have to ask as well, since you mentioned Offaly supporters, you know, they're like us here, they're very diehard. But so many great stories about Mick McDonagh. Have you ever picked him up on the way home and given him a lift, or?
Yeah, we've often picked him up. I remember we played Limerick one down in Newcastle West, and we stopped off on the way home for food, and we picked him up along the way. We brought him home. But no, we were actually very good to him. There's Mick and PJ Malloy as well. I don't know if you know him. He's another guy.
I've heard the name.
We'd always make sure the guys that have tickets going to matches. We'd always look after them. We'd maybe leave them in the shop until more for them or something like that. But no, certainly Mick has been a great supporter. You know, he'd never miss a match, whether it's a Burn Cup or it's a challenge match or whatever it may be. He'll always be there. And no more than a club game either. If you're representing Rhode and the Leinster club campaign or even in a club championship match and off, he's always there. You know, he'll never miss a game. He's a really good guy.
Yeah, he's kind of the lad that my mother says about me. You know, if there was 2 flies running up a wall, you'd go and watch them, you know, to see what was happening. So he seems a bit like that, all right?
Yeah, and I'm sure it can't be easy for him. You know, as I said, in the last while for Offaly in both hurling and football, it's been disappointed. You know, I'd say it can't be easy looking on and supporting Offaly at times. But listen, I hope at least the footballers, that's all I can speak for anyways for now. But we certainly are doing everything we can to raise the profile and get Offaly back where we were.
And the championship, suppose Club Championship 2020 Rhode hit the 30 titles in the shittest conditions imaginable against Tullamore. Was the Was the semi-final against Eden Derry, the extra time one, was that really the kind of winning of it in some ways?
Yeah, certainly. I suppose we had a relatively comfortable group campaign. We won all our games by 10 points plus. And we came into the semi-final probably not tested, you know. Eden Derry had a good couple of hard games under their belt. And I suppose with the COVID, it was very difficult to get challenge games, you know. Yeah. Lads weren't travelling. And it was just difficult to kind of get a good game under your belt. But I suppose we came into the game, we were focused, we were ready, we had trained well for the 2 weeks, but even now we were just up for it. The matches, every blade of grass in the field, and we really got out of jail that day. We were steep to get over the line, get into extra time. Genuinely we were. Eden Derry, probably looking back, deserved to snatch a win on the day. But lucky enough, we got the equaliser and we pushed on in injury time, or in extra time, but it was definitely, not that it was a wake-up call, because we were training well and everything was going well. I think we just hadn't got tested, and a good challenge game probably would have done us well beforehand. But it was, as I said, it was just with COVID, it was so difficult to travel to maybe another county, or you know, you're
travel down the road even was too hard.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was very restricted what you could do. So, but definitely going into the final Eden Derry game stood to us, you know. Yeah. Now, saying that conditions were awful on the day, it was very wet and windy. It was difficult to play. It was always going to be a dogfight. So, if we won, I think we won by a point or two in the end, but listen, that's all we wanted. If we come out by a point and we won, that's all that matters, you know.
Yeah, I know you were chatting to Will O'Callaghan as well about the other semi-final for Ban, and Tullamore went to penalties. Is it something now that you've actually having to start to practice?
Yeah, we actually did. We did practice a few. We had our penalty taker's name just in case. I suppose you have to. You have to think of every possibility that's going to happen. You know, you can't expect just to turn it on the day. You know, you need to have your lads lined up and have it in the frame of mind if you are going to be taking a penalty, that they're equipped to take it. You know, so no, we had that in the back of our minds. Thankfully, it didn't come to that, because at that stage it's a lottery. You know, anything can happen. You know, it's very easy to miss a penalty. So lucky enough, we didn't have to come to that. You know.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you. Had John Mahan got a list, because you know, you hear so many stories of lads in Champions League games, you know, who are, you know, put their hand up to take a penalty and the manager just walks by them and ignores them, like, because he knows they're shite. So yeah, it's good that you had your list, in fairness. So yeah, there's one I suppose slightly sad topic, I suppose, but as a big horse racing fan myself, I can't really not mention. But I know the town of Rhode lost Pat Smullen, an absolute legend of the horse racing game. What were your memories of him yourself, or what's the impact been on the town?
Yeah, it was a huge sad day for us. It was a huge impact. It was very, very tough, you know, to lose someone of his stature in the community. You know, it was really tough. Now it was. I remember back in 2009, maybe 18. I can't remember, 18 or 19. I remember Pat came down the night before the county final. We had a quick meeting with Jack Cooney, and we were going through team analysis and stuff. But Jack actually, or Pat, gave us out our jersey that night. He gave each individual our jersey before the game. Yeah, and I'll never forget it, because really touching, you know, just a special moment that I'll never forget, you know. And had a quick chat with us about life in general, you know. You know, sport is obviously a huge part of a lot of people's lives, but you know, when something like that comes to your door, it doesn't really matter, you know. There's more things to life than sport or football or horse racing or whatever you may be into, you know. But I'll just never forget him having that chat, you know. Pat wouldn't have been he would have never really played football down through the years, but he loved it. He loved Road. He loved supporting Road, loved following Road. When possible, he'd always go to a Road game. He'd come into the dressing room after, he'd have a chat, he'd make time to speak to you. You know, and just to not have him around anymore is very sad, you know. It was tough. It was really tough, you know. But listen, it spurred us on, you know. We think of him now and again, and you know, no more than anyone that dies in any community, you know, you'd have it at the back of our minds. But winning the championship last year was very special, because after the loss of Pat, our community was really at a low ebb, especially with COVID and a lot of people being sick and stuff. We really needed a lift, more so than ever, you know. And for us to be able to do that and put a smile on people's faces was really important, you know.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, no, I know bits and pieces about him as such as a person. I remember Harzant winning the Epsom and the Irish Derbies. I remember it was 2016. So he's a great. I suppose no more than your own story of sticking with your county over Leinster. He stuck with the Weld family when the O'Briens, came knocking as well. So the pride in the town, I suppose, comes out in that
Of
way
course,
as well.
yeah. I remember last year I was doing the campaign for Do It for Dan for Rhode.
Yeah.
We did it as a Rhode parish thing. Kieran Lillis had rang me. He was after doing an Portage and he asked me would I do it for Rhode, and I said no problem. I kind of done a little video and of just a few of the locals in Rhode and around the parish, and I remember ringing Pat and I kind of just telling him a bit about the story of Dan and where he was at, and I asked him would he kind of contribute to the video and say a few words, and there was no problem at all. He was delighted to do it, and any little thing like that, no matter if it was big or small, he'd always help out any way he could, for the broader scheme of things, it was only a small thing, but he was delighted to do it and took time out of his busy schedule. I think he was up and down from hospital getting his treatment and stuff. And, I was kind of chancing my arm, ringing him and asking, but, he never hesitated for 1 second. And, that just summed up the man he was, a great community man and would always do anything he could for anyone in not even a role, but anywhere around Ireland or around the world even. He was brilliant.
Yeah,
he'd be sorely missed, he'd definitely be sorely missed,
Yeah, definitely, I suppose speaking of the community and the slightly more positive side, what's been the celebrations that stand out in your mind in the Road Inn or the Village Inn?
Yeah, it's just been a great few days after winning the championship. In fairness, we be always a firm believers that when we win it, you go and enjoy it. You don't know what's around the corner. You don't know if you're going to get sick or you're going to never play football again, or you just don't know what life brings. So you have to enjoy it as if it's your last. We certainly know how to enjoy them in Road. We do have good times. Could lead into a Thursday or Friday even. But listen, that's what it's all about, unfortunately, I suppose playing at Road, I never really got to experience much lads' holidays. It'd be only really kind of county final experience or stuff like that, because you're going from Offaly and then you're going into another setup of Road. And lucky enough, in the last 10 years, we've been very successful, and you're getting back in the hearse then on a Friday night for a Leinster campaign. And lucky enough with that as well, we've gone far in numerous competitions, and it's kind of when you finish that, you're back to Offaly, so it's a full circle. And I've kind of never really got to experience anything, summer trips with lads or going to America or anything like that. But saying that, I've had a huge successful career with my club. I've won 8 championships, so I've no regrets. I've certainly I know I have missed out on certain things, but winning a championship with your club is a special thing, and nothing can beat that, but certainly we do enjoy them when they do come around. As I said, you don't know what the next year is going to bring, or who's not going to play, or who's not going to be involved, or what's going to happen. So you have to enjoy them as if it's going to be your last,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. The second last question I put to you, there's one vital question at the end and then the quick fire round. So I'm going to put you on the spot here slightly, but we've got Iron Paddy McCormack from Rhode, Shane Lowry, Pat Smullen, Whelans, Dermodys, Nicole Turner, Grania Walsh. Who's Offaly's greatest sports star of all time? Consider now that Matt Connor as well is up there. The highest rate of scoring, I think, in the championship, other than Cillian O'Connor, I think, ever in history. So who's your ultimate Offaly sports star?
It's very difficult to say, because you've so many people in different fields that have achieved so much at their sport. You look at Shane Lowry, what he's achieved, Open champion. Look at Pat Smullen has achieved. Do you know what I mean? It's very hard to pick one. There's a lot of lads that have won All Irelands with Offaly. As you said, you've Matt Cotter, probably one of the greatest footballers that has ever graced the football pitch. Even with Grania, she's an excellent boxer. There's so many people in their field of sport that have achieved so much. I suppose from my day and age, I suppose looking at Shane Lowry and what he's achieved as a young guy, kind of just going up to Clara pitch and putt and playing a bit of golf and getting up to Esker Hills and coming so far. You know, it's been an incredible journey, and I know Shane well myself, and it's just what he's achieved is absolutely unbelievable. You know, for such a small town in Clara to produce something like that, I think it's one crazy story. With one of the best in Offaly, you know. But it's hard to pick because there's so many, as I said, that like look at Pat Smullen, what he's achieved, you know, especially in 2016, winning that famous race. So it's a tough one, but I won't be biased because Pat's from Rhode, so I'll give it to Shane for this one.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, I was down in one of the lads who went to college at is a good friend of Shane's, and we were down in Whites. I think it was in Clara. The day United beat City 4-3 when Michael Owen scored that last one, the winner, and that was some experience, all right, because he was there as well, and it was good to have a crack with him. So the last question I had before the quick fire round, which is the most vital one that everyone wants to know, there's a ladder here where you can put your name onto. It's almost like Top Gear in the olden days. So I'd be surprised if you got your name to the top now, because I tell you what you have to beat. But have you ever won anything in the Road Club Lotto?
Not a cent.
Okay.
Not an absolute cent. No, never.
Okay.
Yeah, and all the times I've done it, never won a cent. No.
Okay, I'll put you in the category of, there's a massive category of no winners here, and then there's a couple of the boys won the best seller in the club. One of the girls up the north won a sheep. I don't know how she did that. And then Zach Maradi won $4,500 in the Thomas Davis one in Tala. So that you're in the bottom pile with everybody at the moment. So yeah,
I've actually never won anything, to be honest. I entered a competition. Cian Dunne, obviously my partner in this, he's St. Bridget's in Cron, and I entered. I bought a ticket off him for an iPhone at Christmas and AirPods, and it was free lotto for the year, and I actually won it. I won it. So that's the only thing I've ever actually won in my life. I've never won anything, no. So. But listen, I'll still continue to support the Road Law, even though I will not win that.
Fair enough.
It's gone to a worthy cause. So.
Oh yeah. So would you trade in that win with Cian's yoke or the 8 county titles? You know, which is.
No, I keep the county titles.
Okay, fair. That's all right. The last round then is the quick fire round if you want to have a go at it, and I'll let you go watch the Champions League then. So you can take as long as you want. I can edit out the pauses in between anyway. So because there's been plenty of them so far. So the first one is your favorite ground you've ever played on.
My favorite ground I've ever played on. I won't say Croke Park because that's the obvious one. So I'll go with, I love playing Tullamore in O'Connor Park. It's an unbelievable pitch. Yeah, I love playing Tullamore. Yeah,
I like going down there myself, actually, in fairness. It's handy for parking, and you just wander in then as well. So
obviously Croke Park is a great pitch, but I actually played in the new Páirc Uí Chaoimh actually last January. That was unbelievable. Top class now. That was class. I remember we played on a Saturday night under lights. It was actually the first game back in Páirc Uí Chaoimh under the new, after the pitch being renovated, and it was like a summer's eve down there. It was fabulous. I actually wore moldies that night, and I think it was 25th of January. So that'll tell you how good the pitch was down there. But Croke Park is obviously the obvious one that people will say, but I'll stick to Tullamore. It's a top class pitch.
Good stuff. Yeah, I suppose the opposite. The next question then: what's the least favourite ground you've ever played on?
The least favourite ground is.
I've had everything from the back pitch, our own pitch. I've had every answer under the sun here.
Are you looking for a county ground now, or are you looking for a club pitch?
Doesn't matter, any at all.
The worst county ground I played in, I think it has to be Carrick and Shannon. I played up there last year, and it was terrible. It was like a swamp. It was. I remember running under the stand at one stage. I thought I was going to fall into a hole. It was that wet. And I played up in Brewster Park as well another year. A terrible pitch up in Fermanagh. So there are two bad pitches now. At county level, at club level, I've played in some horrendous pitches at club level.
Everyone knows one that has like a shallow end and a deep end when it rains as well. So, I suppose, Jesus, that's a tough one now. I played in some bad ones down through the years.
in back pitches with a sheep fence and sheep coming out onto the pitch in some cases.
Yeah, I've had the sheep one. Yeah, when the Sheila McGrath, the Westmeath team, said they were playing somewhere before, and before the game they had to take the wool off the pitch.
Yeah, I remember playing in Kilcock actually one day in a schools game with Ethan Derry, and oh my God, it's a terrible pitch. I think the goals was out near the 20-yard line. I don't think it was actually even a proper pitch. So yeah, I'd say that one actually in Kilcock was a bad one. Yeah,
like those. So, would you be more a hand pass or drive it long?
I like kicking the ball. I actually more of a runner. I would rather run with the ball. Neither the hand pass out and kicking. Okay. I'd rather run with it, and because I'd be fast, I'd use my speed to the best I can, or best of my ability, anyways. But I think neither. I think I'd rather run with it.
You haven't attempted a Rob Kearney and chipping it over some lad's head and catching it to the other side yet? No.
No, not yet, because I don't want to get the consequence of a belt when I get over the other side. So I don't want to do that.
Or a clothesline before you even get to the other side. Yeah.
That's it exactly. Yeah.
The short kick out or the long kick out?
Short kick out for me.
Short, okay.
I think possession is vital. It gives you a platform to start off and build something from the back. Whereas a long kick out, it's just 50-50 and can go anywhere. Whereas if you can get your short kick out spot on, you have a platform to go at teams, And if you can keep the weight and keep pace in it, you can definitely create scoring opportunities.
Okay, good. As a supporter,
I even see with Kildare, we played last year, we kicked a couple long, and Kevin Feely just caught every one of them, So you have to. It depends on who you're playing, I suppose, as well. Especially when you're playing maybe Division 4 team, especially a lot of them will retreat and let you have the kick out, and they'll maybe meet you at a maybe a 45-yard line or a bit back. So it kind of depends on the opposition you're playing. But I remember playing Meath in Navan that summer of 18 under John's first year when we should have beaten them, and we went short every time on the kick out and we destroyed Meath. We used the width very well and they couldn't cope with our kick outs at all. So definitely it gives you a good platform. If you can get them right and you have the right personnel in the right positions, you can do harm with them.
Yeah, and then you have a wing back who goes wandering and never tracks back, and then suddenly you get caught.
you get caught, unfortunately. Yeah,
sounds about right.
It does.
Yeah, as a supporter, would you prefer the tea and the ham sandwiches from the boot of the car or the pre-match pub?
I prefer the tea and the sandwiches. Okay. You can't beat a bit of crack, a bit of old school style, and having a chat with someone and reminiscing on stories of days gone by and stuff like that. Yep. No, don't get me wrong. I enjoy a pint too, but you just can't beat that old tradition. It's obviously dying out with GAA now, which is sad to see. I remember when I used to be going to Croke Park, it was a bag full of sandwiches and a flask of tea, and you're going up to the Cusick stand and you're roaring on the team, and you're going home delayed then, and hopefully you're after Bate and Kildare and you go through maybe Clane or Alan Wood and
beeping
the horn and had off hanging out the window and browning them. But definitely. Obviously, times have changed and society is different nowadays, and times move on. But it's certainly a tradition you'd like to keep alive, but it's hard, because people are changing and people, new things are coming, and it's certainly dying out. But definitely, if you could bring it back, it's certainly one thing I do.
Deadly, yeah. You can choose one of the famous GAA 4 hats, flags, scarves, or headbands.
Hats, flags, scarves, or headbands. I think a hat.
Hat, okay.
A hat on backwards, thinking I'm cool in the sun in Croke Park.
Okay, I like that, yeah. You're the first to answer these questions, actually, because a few of the lads were saying they'd love to throw in a few new questions into the quickfire. I got a good few texts, so I was like, right, I'll throw a few in. So this one is a new one. Have you any pre-match or pre-championship rituals that you follow?
No, I've actually none. A good night's sleep and a good breakfast and maybe a bit of a walk before the game, and just keep them focused. That would be just thinking about what's ahead. I don't tend to overcomplicate things, because if you do, you can get bogged down and stuff, over analysing things or doing things, and I have to do this or I won't play well, and that kind of thing. So I just like to keep it simple, a good night's sleep, just relax, maybe a short walk, and I always enjoy going to a match with a couple of lads because it takes your mind off things and you have a chat and you might chat about maybe could be a Premier League game the night before, it could be Ireland could have been playing the rugby or something could have been on, and you just, it kills the journey and it just takes your mind off things. But no, I wouldn't be superstitious, no at all, no.
Okay, good stuff. The worst training drill.
The worst training drill is the 4 lads in the cones and there's 2 inside the square and you're one is defending or one is tackling and the other is hand pass around the cones.
Yeah.
It's absolutely horrible. I hate it.
Okay, I'll take that.
Especially when you're defending because you're breathing out through your arse.
Yeah, lovely. Are you more of a Marty Morrissey or a Des Cahill fan?
Marty Morrissey.
Marty. Your favourite pundit?
I think Marty has a bit of life in him and he's a bit of crack and that's important,
I'll take that. Your favourite pundit on TV, male or female, from any sport?
My favourite pundit. I actually really like Gary Neville on the Sky Sports.
Yeah.
I think he's really. I actually like him and Carragher together. They're very good. GAA. I really like Tomas O'Shea. I think he's very honest. He's very open. He calls it as he sees it. And there's no bullshit with him. There's no beating around the bush. He's an honest guy, and he does his punditry similar to the same way Ped. I think, anyways, an honest,
straightforward
guy. Yeah, straightforward and straight to the point. I think there's a lot of guys out there that just kind of talk the talk, and they just kind of say, what I mean, but talk a lot of bullshit. But I think Tomas is very good, and I like Anna Geary as well. I think she talks a lot
fantastic,
of sense. Yeah, she's brilliant as well. She knows her sport very well. I actually like listening to her as well.
Brilliant, yeah. If you had a choice of one to join the Offaly team, you can take Cillian O'Connor or Dean Rock. Who are you taking in?
Jeez, that's a tough one.
Neither of them.
That is a tough one. I think I will go with Cillian O'Connor.
Okay.
I think he's a bit more versatile. He can play him out centre forwards. He's an exceptional free taker, and he seems to score a lot of goals. I was saying that Dean Rock scores an exceptional lot of goals as well, but I think at times Cillian O'Connor hasn't got what Dean Rock has got around him, and I think
service.
Yeah, the service. Yeah, and I think Cillian excels with what he's playing with. Now, I'm not saying he's not playing with good footballers, but I think Dublin have better forwards than Mayo do, and I think at times Cillian, overachieves of what he's playing with. I think he's an exceptional footballer.
Yep, definitely true. I'd agree with that myself. If there was a GAA transfer market in the morning, who'd be the one player you'd buy in for Offaly?
Brian Fenton.
Fenton, yeah. That's, I think, 4 or 5 times he's come up now as well. Yeah, that's...
I think Brian Fenton or James McCarthy would be one of them.
Yeah, definitely.
They're unbelievable talents, the engines they have, the work to get through, the feeling, they can score, they can tackle, just all rounders, what you want in your team, especially around the middle third where games are kind of, there's a lot of ball and you transition from defence to attack, they seem to do it very, very well, they're a vital cog in the Dublin team, especially Fenton. You see what, like, he's player of the year twice in the last 3 years. It's obviously people see what he's capable of doing around the whole country. But yeah, he's a huge talent. It'd be definitely one of those. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I suppose it'd be an easy option to pick David Clifford or but we'd like to think here in Offaly we have a few David Cliffords. Maybe not to the level he's at, but certainly up there that can achieve good things into the future,
Yes, good, yes. Your favourite boots?
I was always an Adidas man, actually, and then in the last few years I've gone to Nike. I like Mercurials, but I'm actually only after buying a new pair of Nike Phantoms, the new blue ones out at the minute. So yeah, I'm waiting for them to come in the post now, so they haven't come yet, so hopefully tomorrow I'll get them out and try them on. But I kind of turned my tide to Nike now. I bought a pair of Adidas boots about 2 years ago and they were a bit big for me and I was kind of a bit pissed off.
Okay.
It was obviously my fault. I bought the wrong size, but I was blaming Adidas. So I kind of meant to switch over to Nike then. So I've never looked back and I've stayed with Nike ever since. So I'm a Nike man, yeah.
Okay, so you're blaming Adidas. Yeah, good workman never blames his tools,
Yeah.
Are you studs or moles?
It depends on the weather, obviously.
Yeah.
I'd always have two pairs of boots. I'm only after buying, obviously, a moldy pair now, but I bought another pair of Nikes there a couple of weeks ago on studs. But every year the year starts, I'd always buy a pair of studs and mollies, and then I'd always have them in my bag. And whatever condition the ground is, I'd always have. I'd never take a chance, because some days, like even going down to Cork last January, like we played the Brown Cup final the week before in Tullamore, and it was horrendous. Like the pitch was like a swamp, and then you're going down 7 days later to Port Riva. It's like a summer's even. Do you know what I mean? So you have to be prepared. You know, I'd always have 2 pairs of socks, 2 pairs of shorts, 2 pairs of gloves. I'd always have a change of everything, because you never know what conditions are going to play. Like I remember Loud, especially last year, we went up to Drogheda, and honest to God, I'd never been as cold in all my life in a game. I remember at one stage, actually, a gush of hailstones came, and it was so windy and cold, and the hailstones came, and I was marking the full back, and I actually stood in behind him at one stage, and he said to me, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm actually sore from the hailstones. I was trying to get some protection off him, and he started laughing, and the goalie was actually out, and we're kind of in a huddle at one stage, trying to protect ourselves. But I'll never forget, at half time, I actually had to put on one of the selectors' woolly gloves to get my hands warm. I had no circulation in my hands at all. So yeah, from that experience, and even playing in Leinster Cup campaigns at Rhode down 3 years, like you're playing the winter and it's so cold and so wet. You know, I just always had a change of everything. I always do. You know, just to be, you know, fresh going out. Even changing your boxers and your socks. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if you're going out at the start of the second half and you're fresh, you get going a bit quicker than if you're going out in wet clothes. You know, so. That's one thing I always do when I go on matches, just have 2 of everything, you know.
I tell you, that's the model now coming out in you. That's all that guy clothing now coming out in you. You know, bring a spare boxers and socks to GAA matches. So
yeah. I know, but it's just when you're cold, it's hard to get going again, you know. So
you're cold, yeah.
You're cold, you know. So and then if you're not getting warmed up quickly in the second half, you're getting the curly fingers. So it's either to change your clothes or do a bit. So I think I go for the change of clothes.
Okay. Nice one, yeah. Are you for sweeper or no sweeper?
No sweeper. I hate sweeper.
Okay.
I hate playing with a sweeper, because I think at times a lot of lads tend to draw back and sweep, and you kind of have a lot of lads back kind of doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? Just sitting in zones, and kind of it gives a platform for a team to attack you. So I'd be very much in favour of one pushing up, but it is very difficult, because it only takes one player in the cog not to be tuned in or not to be focused for not to work, you know. So it's very hard to kind of to get it right. You know, you need everyone tuned in, especially in kickouts. If you're going man on man and one lad is not tuned in and he's not up his opponent's arse, it's you know what I mean. You're on the back foot straight away. Yeah, you're goose straight away. So, but no, definitely I would be in favour of pushing up on kickouts, pushing up man on man. Because the higher you can dispossess the opponents, the less chance they have of coming down and scoring. That's the way I would think of it, you know. Like I know a lot of lads wouldn't think like that, but like I think coaches have a tendency to overcomplicate football nowadays. And it's such a simple game when played right, you know. Like I hate going back to it, but if you just look at Dublin, look how simple they play the game. Like, you know, they keep the wit, they don't overcomplicate things, they get the runners. Like it's nothing fancy, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like, you know, there's not very much tactics in it, like, you know. Like I when I'm watching forward play, especially like you could have Dean Rocks on the sideline, you could have Conor Collins on the sideline, you'd have Kieran Kilkenny out in the centre forward, but you'd have Brian Howard and Niall Scully out hugging the wings as well, and that just creates the space. And you know, it's either a simple pop pass or it's a runner off the shoulder and they're going into the space. So it's football is very simple, but it seems to be very complicated. But I would very much in favour of pushing up anyone's man on man and going at teams. Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, it's I suppose traditional Offaly All Ireland wins are always 15-on-15 as well, I suppose, weren't they? So
yeah, of course, yeah. But listen, if you're not winning the ball high up the pitch, you're in danger of giving away scores at the other end, because the teams are obviously going to be attacking you. So and then if your forwards are working hard and they're dispossessing, it gives the backs a chance to get set up and get marking their men and being ready. If the ball does break down, they're ready for, it can give that split second or two that can give the defence a chance to set up properly. You know,
chance to get reset. Yeah.
Or even if you're slowing down the team coming out, even just slow it up. You know, stop them coming out at speed. It just gives that the defence a chance to be equipped when they do get through that barrier, you know.
Yeah, you're advocating for black cards there, I can tell, is it?
Yeah.
All day.
All day.
Yeah. The final three. I suppose speaking of great Offaly teams, who's the toughest team you've ever come up against, club or county?
The toughest club team I've come up against. I'd say it's Kilmacud Crokes. Yeah. We've had them in 2008 in Parnell Park. You know, an unbelievable team. Like the Anton Sullivan, Rory O'Carroll, Mark Vaughan, the two McGees, Brian Kavanagh from Longford. Yeah. To the chap from Sligo as well. He used to play wing back for them. You know, the county players all over the field. You know, it was unbelievable team. You know, that other chap that used to play cornerback for Dublin as well. I can't think of his name.
I can't think back that far either. Yeah,
he was a very good player. Did another full forward actually as well. He came in with Dublin at one stage, I think, under Paul Caffey. Did his cruciate. I can't remember. Real tall guy as well. He was really good for them. But there's top class, brilliant team. Behind that would be Vincent's, another team. Yeah. You know, we've been unlucky when we've got so far in Leinster that we've come up against Dublin teams. You know, unfortunately, like you could have beaten the best of teams in Leinster. You know, like down through the years, we've beaten Portlaoise, Moorfield, St. Lomans, Simonstown and Meath, Screen. You know, all good teams. Éire Óg and Carlow, another good club team. Then up in Wicklow, you'd have, you know, the teams up there. Rathnew were very difficult to beat. Yeah. And even Mullinock, we didn't beat Mullinock, but, you know, we always got on well against teams, but then just never got over the hurdle against the Dublin team, you know, which was unfortunate. But, yeah, Kilmacud would be up there, and Vincent's definitely the best two club teams we've played, you know.
Okay.
On a county level, I suppose... I seem to have played Longford so much in the last 10 years, you know, whether it's a Byrne Cup or league, you know, always a dogged team to play against, especially down in Pierce Park, you know, never an easy venue to go.
My cousin is corner forward for Longford now these days, a new lad on the team, I suppose. A couple of years he's on it, so.
Yeah, no, it's always a difficult place to go, and we've always had great. Never happened between us, you know. We could beat Longford one week, and then a couple of weeks later could go out and we could be beaten by them, you know. Always found them tricky, but I suppose if you're looking at a top team, we never really got to play the top teams. You know, I remember in 2010 we played Down in the qualifiers at Tullamore, and we actually should have beaten Down. We threw it away. And Down ended up being beaten in the All-Ireland final that year by Cork.
Yeah, I was at that. Yeah,
that was a good Down team. But we played Kildare as well down through the years a lot. I played Kildare a lot down through the years. They've always have a great team, especially 2012. They gave us a fair trimming, and Portlaoise coming towards the end of maybe Johnny Doyle's career. Dermot Earley was playing. Alan Smith, you know, they're great. Emma Bolton, they're a great team. You know, that time that McGeaney was over them. Yeah, they're really competing. They were lucky not to win Leinster, especially, and then they actually got out of jail that day. I remember Benny Coulter got the square ball against them in the semi-final. So yeah, Kildare, another top team we would have played against as well. But no, haven't really played an awful lot of top teams, you know. We played Cavan another year in qualifiers to give us a bit of a trim, and they were good. But we took a couple of scalps though as well. I remember in 2011 we bet Monaghan. We bet Monaghan in the qualifiers. Did a great team. Tommy Freeman was playing. I think Banty was over them at the time. We beat them. But yeah, not major. We bet, but probably Kildare maybe under McGeaney was a top team, you know.
Okay, that was a good team in fairness. I remember seeing them play a few times, all right. Outside of the GAA, I suppose the answer to this might be rugby, but what's your favourite sport outside the GAA?
I love soccer. I really enjoy watching the soccer.
You're a United fan, yeah. Same myself.
I'm a big Man United fan, yeah. Now to break my heart, break my heart most weeks. And I live in a estate in Port Arlington here, and I'd be shouting and roaring. I'd say the next door neighbour doesn't know what's going on with the Man United on the telly. But no, I love the rugby. I do have to say that I love the rugby as well. But I take a keen interest in all sports. I enjoy watching horse riding if it was on, to be honest.
Yeah,
cricket or golf or boxing. I like learning, because you'll always learn from different sports, even though it's different, but kind of different from football or whatever it may be. But you'll always pick up certain things from certain sports, and I certainly do. Anyways, I bring it into my GAA, and it does help me, Like even I watched the Dan Carter documentary a couple of weeks ago, and
brilliant,
brilliant.
Yeah.
Even little things that he did, and even the squad did, like you can implement it in a GA environment, which is great, But there's watching sport, you're learning all. Well, I'd be learning all the time, and trying to pick up different bits and pieces, I suppose getting on now at 29. I'm 30 this year. I suppose I'm putting my thinking cap on and looking maybe down the road into management and learning all the time. But no, I wouldn't have a favourites, but I enjoy all kind of sports. I'd always try to pick up different things and learn from them,
Yeah, that's speaking of Dan Carter. I don't know if you can see over my shoulder there beside Davy Fitz's book. That's me and Dan Carter there.
Oh, is it? Yeah, geez, brilliant. Yeah. Where did you meet him?
I've been fortunate, I suppose, over the. Actually, speak of you're down in Port Arlington. Do you know Shaggy Levy, Kieran Levy?
I know Kieran well. Yeah, I know. He's actually trying to get me to transfer to Port Arlington here at the minute.
He's my brother-in-law.
He said he'd give me big money if I come over. So, but I keep refusing, but he keeps denying me anyways. Because I actually live in the state. I live. Robbie Piggott lives next door, and so does Paddy Sullivan, and they play with Leash. Robbie plays centre back with Leash, and Paddy's wing back. So we kind of have a bit of rivalry going on up here. It's a bit of crack, because we actually played Leash 2 years ago in the qualifiers. It was great old banter that week. Obviously they got the bragging rights that day, but it's great old banter up here. Listen, it's only a stopgap here at the minute. Living in Port Arlington, I bought a site. Me and my partner bought a site in Rhode, so it just suits me at the minute living here. I'm kind of halfway between Newbridge, Kilcormac, Tullamore with the business, and then Rhode. So it's kind of great at the minute in that regard. So, but eventually I will go back to Rhode in the next maybe 2 or 3 years. I'll go back towards home. But no, it's great. It's a great town to be in. If Shaggy wasn't about it'd be even better. But
well, he's in Kilnard now. We managed to move him out a few kilometres anyway. So
yeah. So they're actually in the semi-finals. They played last year semi-final now this year. So when the club resumes. So listen, I'd love to see them win it. In fairness, poor Leash has dominated in Leash the last 10 years. It'd be nice to see them lifting the cup. It'd be brilliant for them.
Yeah, no, he's married to Sinead, and I'm married to Sinead's sister here. So he's my favourite brother-in-law. If he's listening, I have to say that, don't I?
I must tell him I was chatting to you. He'd be happy with that. Yes.
Do actually, give him a text after. Tell him, The Dan Carter thing, the New Zealand thing, is I was living 12, 13 years. I only went back to Mullingar in the last year. We were up in Dublin for the last 12, 13 years, and I was off one day from school, and I went to Castleknock Hotel. Wasn't too far from me, and I went down there to get a voucher for my auntie for Christmas down from Longford. And I wandered in. There was 2 people sitting there holding rugby balls, and I was like, "What's the crack here?" So next thing, the New Zealand team bus pulled up. November International play in Ireland. It was the one where it was the will Johnny Sexton play or will he not because of the injury?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And Dan Carter, Richie McCaw, they're all on the shelf behind me. And then I had to go down to Carton House then straight from there to get another voucher for my mother. And Joe and the lads were training, so I wandered in, and I was the first person to know that Johnny was going to be playing against New Zealand, but I couldn't say a word because it hadn't been released to the media, and I was the only one who snuck in, and I got my pictures and all them, and they were like, I overheard them saying he's going to be okay. And then when you look in the kit man there said, "Oh, help yourself to the food," but there's 2 tents. One of them is for the starting, and one of them is for the fighting team, they called them, I think, who are playing in the training pitch. And Johnny's name was on Team A. And I knew after looking at it, I was like, he's starting because that's what they do. I knew looking at it, I was like, fuck, I know that he's starting. Like I could sell this to the newspaper to make a fortune. Like, but
Yeah.
so that's how
But
it all
I
came
said
about.
that was a brilliant experience, wasn't it, to even meet him and say
It was
hello,
class. It was
Yeah,
unreal. Yeah, like I walked into Carton House then, and I asked Sean O'Brien where were the Jacks. I got a picture of him and I was like, I'm bursting for a piss. I was like, where's the Jacks? And then Brian Driscoll walked by and I was like, do you mind if I get a picture? And he was like, no. And he just started chatting. He was like, where are you from? I was like, from Mullingar. All talk about Joe and like, because Joe used to teach here in Mullingar and played GAA for a few weeks here with Mullingar Shamrocks as well years ago.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so
We
it was,
actually,
yeah,
speaking of Joe, Jack Cooney would be very friendly with Joe, and
yeah.
Joe came down a few times the road and he spoke to us. He was absolutely top class.
You'd listen to him all day,
Um,
wouldn't you?
he was
Yeah,
incredible, incredible, absolutely. I know he came down 2 or 3 times now. In fairness to him, he kind of got a bond with us. He came down the first time and we kind of got seeing what we were doing and stuff. And obviously he had the GA background, as you said, and Jack obviously had filled him in on a lot of stuff, what was going on with us and what we had achieved. And because we'd be always striving road, like what's the next thing or what we're going to achieve. And like we've won a lot of championships down through the years, but like it's how we can improve and what are we going to do next. Like you're only as good as your last game. That's the way we would
that's
see
his
it.
mindset as well, isn't it? So yeah,
Absolutely, yeah. Like even people be saying an awfully, how it was sick of road winning, how did it keep coming back? Like we train extremely hard, we put in the work. Like I even see it, it's the same as your studies or your work. If you don't put in, if you're studying for your leaving cert, or if you're doing your leaving cert, you don't do the studies, you're not going to get the results you want. It's the same. Same goes to sport, or even if me in the army, if I'm going into my job and I'm not doing my proper work, I'm not going to do it properly. You know what I mean? So
yeah. He's
I
looking at
remember
it
Joe,
probably as Rhode have won, dominated Offaly, but he's looking at it as well. That's 4 or 5 Leinster final defeats. Where's it going wrong? He's looking at the next step.
Yeah, but what struck him actually with us was our hunger. He couldn't believe how like we kept coming back and back, and we wanted more success and we wanted more, because he said a lot of teams who achieve so much kind of tend to maybe take a little bit of a breather or take a step back, But I have to say with us in Nordic, it's unbelievable the lads are there. The effort to put in and the sacrifices to make. Like it is difficult. Like don't get me wrong. Like you've very little lifestyle. You can't go for a drink. Your relationship suffers at times. Your weekends are gone. It is difficult. You put a lot on hold, but what makes it so satisfying is what you achieve at the end of it. And that's what makes it all worthwhile. But it's a special group to be part of, and I often wonder how do lads keep coming back and coming back. Like we have some lads are 36, 37 that have won 10 or 11 championships that road absolutely nothing, that can go, but they're still coming back to want more and more. But listen, that's what makes it a special place. But I remember that's what struck Joe. He couldn't believe the hunger and the desire that we had to keep coming back. And he actually came back a couple of times to talk to us. And I remember he was a brilliant chat. As you said, you could listen to him all day. It was just, he was top class.
Yeah, no, unbelievable man. Yes. The very last question I have for you, and it's a tricky enough one. A lot of people have had to think about this one, but in your lifetime, turning 30, I suppose, in the last 30 years, who has been the GAA's finest player?
In my lifetime?
Yeah.
In my lifetime, Jesus, it's tough. It's a tough one because there's been an unbelievable amount of talent, Like in the 90s, I remember following Offaly. Like I remember Niall Buckley. I don't know if you remember. He used to play Kildare midfield. He was a genius.
Yeah.
I remember I used to go to the garden and think I was Niall Buckley jumping up for the ball. Unbelievable, like a talent. But I suppose football changes. Like the 90s were different than the early 2000s, and then from 2010 onwards to now, it's football has changed so much.
Was it better in the 90s?
I think so. I loved it.
Yeah, same as.
I loved it. It was good, honest, open football. And I remember even that me team in the late 90s.
Unbelievable.
John McDermott, you had Trevor Giles, you had Tommy Dowd,
Graham Garrity,
Ollie Murphy. Unbelievable players. Even Kildare, you had Eddie McCormick, you had Martin Lynch was another unbelievable player. Like, and we even think back to Dublin team that night. Dublin weren't even that good back in the 90s, you know.
No.
Like, even take your own country, you Desi Dolan. Like, look at the talent he was. He had Frankie Dolan and Roscommon. Like, he could name, like, you know, like, even to go as far as Leitrim, you could name Emily Mulligan.
Yeah.
Like, he was a serious talent, you know. No more than ourselves in Offaly, we'd play Macmeans, you know. Yeah. So, but I'd say overall, in my time, I'd say Diarmuid Connolly is probably the best footballer I have seen. I think he was a genius, you know. He had it physically. He was all there. He was left and right foot. He could score. He'd every attribute under the sun. You know, he's very skillful. The only thing that probably let him down was his discipline. You know, but I suppose I would look at he was that good. That's what people had to do to him. You know.
Yeah.
He should have took it as a compliment, but he didn't, obviously, because he had to. He struck back a few times, but you know, a genius. You know, and I suppose the Gooch is not far behind him either. Yeah. Another special talent. You know, I suppose David Clifford is coming as well, but he's yet to prove himself. In my opinion, he's yet to kind of you know. I not degrade in the Munster Championship, but I think at times Kerry kind of get an easy route through to an All-Ireland semi-final, and it can be easy for them. You know, and that's not degrading the Munster Championship now at all. But you know, sometimes they could have to play Waterford in the Munster semi-final, in the Munster final, and then all of a sudden they're one game away from the All-Ireland final. Haven't played no one. Do you know what I mean? So
might have been a bit of a shock for them this year, maybe with the last-minute goal.
Well, absolutely, yeah. But I think if David Clifford was in a Leinster campaign, I think he'd know all about it. You know what I mean? Going down to Navan, but you know what I mean? If you go to Mullingar, you're going to Navan, or you're going to Newbridge. Like, you know, you see what Clare did to Mayo down in Newbridge that time in the qualifiers with the Newbridge and Orr saga. Like, you know what I mean? So it's I just think that sometimes the structure of the championship, I think, needs to be looked at and changed up, maybe for Sam Maguire. So I would be in favour of keeping the provincials, even though at the minute the Leinster campaign is just it's a dead duck, you know, with Dublin there. I think if you took Dublin out of the Leinster campaign, you'd have a really competitive championship. Like I know within the Offaly camp, we would be very confident of winning the Leinster championship if Dublin weren't there. You know, no more so than John Heston down Westmeath or anyone in Kildare or Meath or Laois or wherever you may be, you know. But I just think it definitely has to be looked at, and a change is needed badly. You know, like I always find the best competition of the year is the league, because you're playing teams at your own level, and every game is competitive. Like I can't remember the last time we got hammered in a league game. You know, every game is so close. It's either give or take a point or two, you know. There's nothing in games. So yeah, no, it's definitely something that needs to be looked at down the line. I don't know about this tier 2 thing. I don't know if it's going to work. Like you see what Tipperary and Cavan did last year. So it kind of made a laugh, really, didn't it? I think anyways. But listen, let's see what happens and what changes to make. But I definitely think something needs to be done anyways down the line. But what it is, I'm not sure. Maybe a Champions League kind of thing, maybe, or I'm not sure. But I'm sure the powers to be will come up with something anyways and change it. But I just think it's difficult. Like even for Westmeath last year after lockdown going back, like facing into a daunting task. Like I can't imagine what that was like. Like what were they thinking? What were we going to keep the score to maybe 15 points? Like, you know, like no more so than if it was Offaly playing them, we would have been doing the same thing, you know. It's difficult, you know. It is difficult, you know. I would have found it very difficult to go back training now if I was in the Westmeath camp. So I have to commend them for that now, in fairness, because knowing right well that you're 6 weeks ahead of training and you're going to get beaten, like, you know. You know, and it was just unfortunate that they drew Dublin. They were just unfortunate. It was them that drew the short straw. It could be us this year. So please God it's not. But maybe until Leinster final anyways. But it's just unfortunate for them, you know. But definitely something needs to be looked at anyways. But I'm sure the same lads, you chatting lads down Westmeath, they would find the league the best competition to play, would they? Or what would you think? Or even from chatting lads on the podcast, what would lads be thinking? Or
the league has come up as come up as a thing no one has kind of, I suppose, said it as directly, maybe as you've said it there, but you get the sense that there's kind of especially around the Leinster lads, and nothing against Dublin, obviously they're unbelievable, but you do get the sense that there's I don't know, there's more of a passion for the league in some ways, because, like you said, you're going in, if you know from whatever, Marty is drawing your name out of the hat last September, October, and you're just all the time knowing that, Dublin is coming up and you're 5-6 weeks out and you're like, what am I actually training for? I'm training for a qualifier. I'm training for the back door. Like, you know that before you're going in. It's no shame against any county. It's just the way it is. So
yeah, of course, yeah.
You're thinking, maybe February, March, April is our time to shine. And like no more than, like my cousin was saying with Longford, Dara, was they won the O'Byrne Cup. And then, a lot of the newspaper things were like, oh, Longford beat the Dublin C team, and you're like, they beat Dublin, give them some credit. Like it's a big feather in the cap to say you beat Dublin and anything, and to degrade them as the C team is kind of, to me, it just shows you kind of where things are, that, Dublin don't even have their manager in the sideline. They send the coach, they take the time off because the B team, the C team, the D team, you can go down through the alphabet. They'll field a team that's likely to probably beat 15, 16 counties in the country on their day. So yeah, I that kind of thing was kind of annoying when I saw that a few times. People online writing, Longford have beaten the Dublin C team. I was like,
it is frustrating, because they did like whatever 15 Dublin out, they still had a good 15 out, like, you know what I mean? So
they're wearing the Dublin jerseys at the end of the day. So
exactly, exactly, yeah. But like Dublin have set the bar so high, and it's difficult to catch them because they're so far ahead. But like if you take Dublin out, like say even going on to Cork last January, when we were going on the bus, we actually firmly believed we were going to beat Cork on out. We didn't, like, we hadn't that sense of, oh geez, we're going to be better here. And for 50 minutes we had Cork on the ropes. We were beating them, like, and only we had 5 or 6 key players injured that day. And we were struggling. We picked up a couple of injuries in the Burn Cup final against Longford, and we got a black card just after half time as well, kind of killed us. And then Cork kind of ran the bench, a bit more experience come on, and they just seen out the game. But genuinely going down to Cork, I firmly believe we're going to beat Cork. Like, and same in we've had Kildare last year, firmly believe we're going to Portage, we're going to beat them. Same in going out to Meath and Navan. Like, Navan's not an easy place to go to. I remember for 7 weeks we trained like animals. We got our kick-out strategy right. We nailed everything about them. And for 7 weeks we did nothing, only Meath. Meath was on our brains. And going down to Navan that day, they probably took us a little bit for granted, but we had our work done. And we should have turned them over. Unfortunately we didn't. But same thing, we went down to Navan that day expecting to beat them. You know what I mean? Where another day you could be going to Croke Park and you're facing up, you're like, oh jeez, what are we going to do? Do you know what I mean? It's so difficult, but all you can do is keep plugging away. And as I said, like for us now is getting out of Division 3, getting up to that standard, trying to close the gap as best as possible. Do you know what I mean? Like as Westmeath did. Westmeath went up from Division 3 to 2. They were playing at a higher level of football.
We're the biggest yo-yo team in history, up and down.
But they're getting to that level where they're competing against 2 Division 1 teams coming down who are playing at a higher level, and then like Division 2 is a competitive league as well. Like, so. Like if Westmeath were playing Division 3 football last year, would they have got that gap to Dublin 10 points? Maybe not. It could have been maybe 17 or 18, But because they were playing that higher standard, they had improved themselves greatly, So that's what we need to get up. We have to get out of Division 3, especially now with our group, the way it's done regionally. The other group is horrendous. Like it's Cavan, Derry, Fermanagh and Longford. Like, there's 3 northern teams in that, like I wouldn't fancy being in the Longford camp there now, heading up to Derry or heading up to Cavan, like Ulster champions, or even Fermanagh is a difficult place to go. So like we kind of, with the teams we have in ours, Wicklow, Limerick, Tipperary, like we played Tipperary last year after the COVID resumption league. We should have beaten them down in Thurles. Another game left behind, and then 6 weeks later, Tipperary in All-Ireland semi-final against Mayo. Like Munster champions in an All-Ireland semi-final, and it's just small margins. It's a small margins. And like at the minute we're doing a lot of Zoom talks and we're doing a lot of tactics, and we're hoping to kind of just hit the ground running when we get back, So, but if we can pick up them small percentages, even in these Zooms, and trash out a bit of talk and trash out what we're doing wrong. They're the small little margin that might get you over the line in them tight games, you know.
Yeah.
But definitely for us going forward, it has to be getting out of Division 3. It has to be.
Priority, yeah. And do you think, is it Title 31 this year then for Rhode?
I haven't even thought about it, to be honest. I won't, to be honest. I won't. My focus is on Offaly at the minute. Like, it's a huge honour to play with Offaly, and it's a huge honour to represent your club. But like, when I'm in with Offaly and focus on the job at hand there, I won't look beyond. Like, saying that, I always keep in touch with my friends. Obviously, they're doing their own programs. They're tipping, like, there's nothing really going on, but lads are keeping fit. They're keeping their gym programs up or whatever. But listen, when the time comes for that, you know, I'll refocus in and I'll get back in the horse for that. But definitely my main focus now is Offaly, and when the time comes around for Rhode, I'll stop back in and you know, my intention will turn to that, obviously. Hopefully that's the plan, obviously, Title 31. You know, every year it's getting tougher and tougher because like, teams are improving and management teams are getting better. People are coming with better coaches and better strength and condition, and coming with better tactics, and they're nullifying our attack, and all these kind of things are thrown at us. But so far so good. We've overcome a lot of these things, but teams will continue to keep throwing their kitchen sink at us. And then obviously when you're successful, people want you beaten, like no more so than people want Dublin beaten, or people want St. Lomans beaten down in Mullingar, or people want Portlaoise beaten, or people want Moorfield beaten in Kildare. That's just the nature of it, you know what I mean? Or Kilkenny and hurling. That's just the way sport is. No more than even when Liverpool win and everyone's feeling better, you know. So
yes.
But you know, that's just sport, and that's the way it'll be. And like, even last year's, we were going for 4 in a row, for Ban knocked us off the perch. But listen, it was a great learning curve for us as well, you know. I know we lost, but we learned in defeat, and we brought into last year, we retained the title, you know. And that's the most important thing, that you'll have good days, and when you have your good days, you enjoy them, and you have your bad days, you have to learn and pick yourself back up and go at it again. Because when you lose, that's when you learn the most about yourself and your teammates, and how you respond to what's ahead of you, you know. So, but listen, that's my hope is Title 31, get promotion out of Division 3, and get a run in the championship in Leinster, or even All Ireland Series. Whatever it is, but priority is definitely Division 3, and having a run. And listen, if we can get promotion, take off the shackles, listen, go and enjoy it then. We've nothing to lose. You have to get in your promotion. We'll go and enjoy a bit of football over the summer months, please God, when the COVID, or if we get back, and we can get back playing, and the sun will be shining, and everyone will be healthy. And listen, it's only a bit of fun at the end. I know we all take it serious, but it's a bit of fun. Listen, there's no one going to die, please God, or nothing's going to happen to anyone. And we're doing something we love with our friends, and that's the most important thing, you know. Yeah,
you try tell Mick McDonagh that it's only a bit of fun.
Well, of course. I know some people don't see it like that, but especially with the environment we're living in today, you have to think outside the box and look at the bigger picture. It is only fun, a game of football. I know I'm the biggest culprit for them all, and I go hell for leather. I go mad after games, and I go be really competitive. I hate losing, but you know, this COVID thing has brought a lot of people down to earth and reality, and what's really important, you know, which is your health, you know. Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah, Anton, thanks so much for coming on. I'll let you go watch Leipzig beat Liverpool, hopefully in the Champions League here. So.
Please, God. Thanks a million for having me on, and it was great chatting to you. Sure, if you ever want to have a chat again, you know,
absolutely.
The phone's always on, and don't hesitate to give me a shout.
100%. Yeah, I probably will. I reckon in the summer when I go for series number 2, I'll probably give you a show. We'll talk the championship then. So
brilliant. We might get a few more off lads on. We'll have a bit of banter, a bit.
Oh, we will. Sure, we'll get Shane Lowry. We'll get the Doolies. We'll get every Mac on, or we'll get every human being in Offaly on at some point.
We can organise Lowry or a few of them to come on if you want, if that suits you.
Absolutely, if they want to come on anytime. Yeah, anytime. And thanks. Tell Shaggy I said hello as well. I'll give him a text after myself. So
you tell him to get the checkbook out.
I will. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Listen, take care. Mind yourself.
Thanks, Anton. Mind yourself. Take it easy.
Take care. Thanks, Jason.
Bye. Coming up next week on the Loaf of Bread GA podcast, we cut into our next slice.
Unfortunately, my boyfriend was my guinea pig, and I said I try a fade on him. So I was watching YouTube. I had YouTube on my phone and I was pausing it. I was going to, do his hair, going back, playing it. But unfortunately, by the end of it, your man on YouTube looked very different to what I've done. So I've kind of stopped doing fades and I'm just doing the one number around the sides.
Okay, yeah. Good skill to have at first. Yeah, my brother actually. On Slice 16, I get the chance to chat to a local lady with an outstanding career in both the GAA and rugby. I chat with former Westmeath Camogie star and current Irish Sevens rugby icon Katie Heffernan. We chat everything from the early days as a scorer for Westmeath Camogie, taking on New Zealand's Michaela Blythe in rugby and Westmeath's Lucy McCartan in training, the Instagram fan page that was set up for her, borrowing her parents' van at the age of 15 to go get pizza, the hilarious story of the stolen bike in Dublin, and finding out what birthday present got her awful abuse from her Irish rugby teammates. This and much, much more. Katie is an absolute star and so much crack. Until then, remember, you can't win derbies with donkeys. Slán